So now let's talk about the candidates who have impressed you, who you're now presenting to your client. What are some of your do's or don'ts for your candidates when they go out on these interviews, whether now their Zoom interviews are becoming very popular as the first go around?
Yeah, so absolutely. And maybe I will touch on Zoom interviews first, or Teams interviews, those types of things, because that is, a year ago, this wasn't a conversation that we had as often. And now it is the norm. So that's something, especially in today's environment, and I don't see this changing in the foreseeable future, is make yourself familiar with Zoom or Microsoft Teams, one of the two, because majority of large corporations utilize both. They utilize Teams and they utilize Zooms. And I know that this type of interview, a virtual interview, is something that a lot of people are not comfortable with. They would much rather sit across the table from somebody, talk to them face to face. But the reality is we may be pretty far removed from that, right, indefinitely, or at least for the foreseeable future. So play around with it, get on there. You can basically do a mock Zoom meeting with your own Zoom account and not have somebody on the other end. But that way you're familiar with things like, how do I unmute my microphone? How do I turn my camera on? Where do I need to be in my house that it's a clean background and there's good lighting and that it's not a shadow? All of those types of things, because you don't want to have to figure that out when you are logging in to actually do an interview.
Right.
So that is something that's very important. Also, the things about interviews that are pet peeves of both myself and employers that come up regularly is timeliness. Right. I always tell people that's your first impression again. If your interview is scheduled for 9 a.m., be in the parking lot at 8:45. Right. Don't be pulling into the parking lot at 8:55 on two wheels and getting out and tucking your shirt in. Because believe it or not, more times than not, those things are happening. And you don't know who's on the other side of that window, seeing all of this go on in the parking lot.
Right.
In my previous position before I was here, I did interviews, and my office was the front office on a corner with a glass, and I saw it all. And right, wrong, indifferent. A lot of times my mind was made up before somebody walked in my door based on what I saw in the parking lot. So timeliness is huge. When you come into an office building, if there is I call them a gatekeeper, a secretary, whoever is there, you need to greet that person just as professionally as you would if that's the person you were interviewing with. Right. Because just because they're sitting there, you don't know what that person's role is within the company. You don't know what their input may or may not be on the interview process. So always walking in, greeting people professionally, with a smile on your face if they can see you. If you're supposed to have on a mask, different things, being prepared, whatever it is that you need, just being prepared up front and being early. Also, something that's important is knowing the names of the people that you're supposed to be interviewing with. That's always given to you in advance, but that's something that comes up often, that people get there and they say, maybe I don't remember who I'm supposed to be meeting with, or I think I'm supposed to be meeting with this person. Walk in with a confident attitude and know, hey, I'm here to meet with this person and this person for this position. My name is such and such, and present yourself that way.
Right.
And then also do research about the company and about your position before you go. You're not going to know the questions that are going to be asked of you in the interview, but generally speaking, in most scenarios, there are some pretty standard first interview questions. They're going to want to know most likely about your professional background. They're going to want to know about your strengths and probably weaknesses as an employee, what your long-term plan is, like where do you see yourself in 10 years? How do you want this position to transition into that? Those types of things. So be prepared. Think about what responses that you want to give ahead of time. So that way, when you get in the interview, you have a solid answer. You have a solid foundation to start with. Right. And that you're not talking in circles, that you're confident and you're like, that I'm here for the sales manager position, but my long-term goal is to start as a sales manager and show you my ability to sell and train a team and develop this department. And then I want to be the director of sales in 10 years. That's where I see this is my career path that I want to go down, because those are the types of things that decision makers or HR managers are going to want to hear, because they're going to say, you know what, this person has a fire and they're motivated and they're going to get in here and they're going to work, and they're already talking about their 10-year plan with our company. So they are wanting a career, not just a job today.
Right.
So those types of things. And then of course you're dressing professionally.
Right.
One of the things that I used to tell people, especially my new hires a long time ago, and it still stands true, from your shoes up. When you walk into the room, the first thing that people look at is your shoes, and they go from there up. So it doesn't matter if you have on like a super nice suit. From head to toe, you have to have your shoes with your outfit and dress for the position as well.
Right.
That's another thing that comes up. If you know that you're going to be touring a facility, maybe you're an operations manager for a manufacturing company, and you know you're going to be touring the warehouse facility, dress for that position. Ask those questions ahead of time. Hey, am I going to be going, into the warehouse? Do I need to be dressed in a suit? Should I wear safety shoes? What types of things am I going to need? So just asking these questions and being prepared before you get there.
That's good.